And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, at the 3 o'clock position on Metropolis. We have our red Protoss player from the team Acer. It is Elfi, and he has won 3 games in a row against the very enthusiastic with an exclamation mark there. Maybe this is Chef in disguise. Yellow Zerg player over here at the 9 o'clock position, Eclypsia.KenZy.
That's right. So, Metropolis. It's a pretty good map for really every race. It's not bad. It's a map that Zerg players can do that 3-hatch build on fairly easily. The only problem is I believe there are rocks between the second and third bases on this map. Does this version have it? It does. All right. There are versions of this map out there that don't have it. In fact, I believe the ladder version didn't have rocks, if I remember right.
I like the rocks being there,
it's
though.
It's off the ladder now, so.
Yeah, they took it out because of frame rate issues and things like that, but...
I don't think we've ever had those. I don't think we've ever had a player talk about frame rate issues in our version. I don't know. I've never...
I only became aware of it after I think it was Huck that was tweeting about it, who said, you know, you can check, run, you know, any sort of... counting program to actually check your frame rates, and it is precipitously lower on Metropolis, and he was right.
I never noticed that. That's interesting. Well, Metropolis is an interesting map. I know, they're like rocket powers.
I just can't get over it.
Here comes Speed Overlord. He's a demon on tentacles.
That's true. That is a weird Mach 5. Where does Chim Chim fit into that?
Well, where do all the other units fit in? So
oh, wait. Good point, actually. Well done.
Exactly. Which Overlord is Chim Chim in? That's the question everyone's asking. That's the burning zeal that drives Zerg players to find out which Overlord he resides in.
Somewhere Katz is giving you a golf clap.
Somewhere Wolf is like, yeah, Speed Racer is awesome. And he's right, because it is.
That's true.
It's pretty cool.
Well, this drone going to try and chase away the probe here for a second, but nothing too out of the ordinary. It's going to be a Nexus first for Elfi. His opponent, KenZy, though, is going after a spawning pool first, and eventually may decide to go down that 3-hatch build.
Boom. Pylon.
Yep. Blockage. Not the kind that can be fixed by a pill.
Needs some, I don't know what those are called, but looks like it is going to be a hatchery right away at the third base location now for KenZy. A lot of Zergs preferring to do that. In fact, a lot of Protoss players sending their probe immediately to the third after blocking the natural to try to beat the drone there, but Elfi obviously not doing that this time around.
And looks like Elfi, pretty predictable stuff. Origin Gateway coming up for him as well. Speed Overlord.
I'm here already.
Making his way in. It's going to take me so long to get used to this. I'm sorry. I know they're still not staggeringly fast units, but it looks like it's just flying along to me.
It is pretty cool. I mean, it really feels like a TVZ, or a ZVT rather. It's the most helpful in just because it's so easy for Marines to focus down Overlords before they really get in and see much. But in a ZVP, it's going to make it a little bit more challenging, I think, for Protoss to keep things hidden. That's kind of the idea, but you know, it's going to make it tough for Protoss, I think.
All right. Well, this pylon is in danger of falling here. It's going to have to be canceled. It's not 100 resources lost, and KenZy breaks his way through.
Oh, Elfi, that was a bit of a mistake. These Zerglings are going to be very, very annoying.
Oh, yeah.
In the base. They're not necessarily going to get a lot of kills, per se, but it is going to be a bit of a hassle for Elfi to deal with this.
But every time Elfi pulls away those probes off of minerals, as 1, 2, 3 probes go down right away.
The old ball game. I don't know why I thought that when you said
1, 2, 3 probes you're out at the old ball game.
I went to an Oakland A's game the other day, so
I'm sorry.
I've got baseball in the brain. Anyway, yeah, we do see the Zerglings being annoying, as Zerglings often are in this position.
Hundreds of minerals lost, though, for Elfi already. You can see it in the supply. 12 supply difference between our two players now. And interesting to note, there is gas up already for KenZy. He hasn't tried to take out, there we go, that 5-range queen working away at the pylon.
I just really was hoping that the animation would be stretchy queen arms. I don't know. I don't know why I expected it to actually be that way.
I did the same thing, though.
I was hoping. Stretch Armstrong queen.
I have to agree with you. So, well, this is pretty difficult for Elfi to try and come back from. I mean, he's already lost quite a bit here. These Zerglings continue to be annoying, leading these Zealots on a merry chase as they try and pick up a couple additional kills.
It's not merry, it's a chase of rage.
It is.
Get out of our base.
Look at this. Forces a few more probes off the line, and those would have mined another 20 or 30 minerals during that time. So, once again, KenZy just proving to be very effective with these Zerglings.
KenZy about doubling the supply of Elfi right now, too. 49 to 29. Pretty big advantage for this point in the game. And only drones really being made behind this for KenZy. So it's just so great. He's got his third hatchery down. He's been able to drone a lot, 39 drones to 25 probes, and only 2 Zealots out right now for KenZy as well. So this early game harassment has worked very, very well for KenZy.
And looks like Elfi is going to go over to a Stargate now. So taking a look back at KenZy's side of things, he does have Lair Tech coming up. And let's see, this is at the 42 drone mark. So Lair coming up, second extractor, actually second and third extractors on the way. No Roach Warren or Evolution Chamber quite yet. But as soon as I say that, double Evo Chambers.
Yeah, double Stargate for KenZy too behind this. He actually dropped a second one. And with KenZy's plan here, it looks like he's planning on going for lots of upgrades for his speedlings, which is something you can certainly do if you get that really early edge against Protoss a lot of times. But it's not going to maybe put him in the best position to handle these Void Rays and Phoenixes that are coming in right now. He's going to need to make sure that he's got some Spores and plenty of extra Queens.
Well, first couple of Zealots trudging on through now. Just Queens up to defend for the time being. There are 10 more Lings out on the field now, so I take that back a little bit as speed is coming up as well. Those Zealots starting to back away at the moment, and the total of 4 gas is going to be down now for KenZy as he finishes up his third base. But, of course, as soon as he catches wind of this, oh, and he has seen the double Stargates with that Overlord off to the side, putting down a Roach Warren. There we go. Now the Spore Crawlers are starting.
Right. And interestingly enough, yeah, going for double Roach upgrades. This is a bit less common. A lot of times when you see the double Evo Chambers in ZVP, you'll see an emphasis on Zerglings and then going up to Infestation Pit. But this time we're going to actually see, look at that, Roach Hydra. Very cool. Actually a bit rare in this matchup right now, so I am really excited to see exactly how KenZy plans on doing this. I mean, if he can get his upgrades up and running, he is going to have a very, very strong army to deal with that. They are having more fun. You can tell. You just look at an Overlord and he's happier now.
I know.
He's
no
like,
kidding.
Yeah.
Wow, that's okay. Not touching that sound effect with a 10-foot pole.
It's a combination of happiness and the regular Overlord, like.
I suppose it is. So,
yeah.
Anyway, the Phoenixes making their way out. They've picked off a couple of Overlords already. Going to start trying to snag a couple of workers. Unfortunately, there's already Spore Crawlers basically everywhere. So,
was that 4 drones gas for KenZy? I believe it was.
I think it was. Let's see here.
Look at that. Yeah, absolutely at the top.
Yep, there it is.
That's, wait.
2. What? Oh, this one's just not actually
it's just
in
there. Whoops. Oopsie. I knew something was wrong. A little bit more harassment going there.
Yeah. Wow, actually, a few drones being picked off. Of course, KenZy, to a degree, can suffer some of these losses. The Overlords are a little bit more painful, but he does have a number of Hydras out and a few more on the way now.
Yeah, quite true, quite true. The Lair is done as well. I mean, so with the Hydralisks coming out, he's going to be able to defend this a little bit easier. But in this situation, you'll see a lot of Protoss players actually do okay because the Hydras come out, obviously, from different locations and can be picked off fairly easily if the energy on those Phoenixes is saved a little bit. There you go.
All right. Well, Hydralisks, as you mentioned, are getting picked up now. They are light units. The Phoenixes do very well against light units. So
this is why it's so dangerous to go Hydras still in this matchup because this can happen. If your opponent just decides to continue making Phoenixes, you can get stuck where a lot of your Hydras don't even make it to your army.
And we'll say for KenZy, though, he's being very diligent about his creep spread. Has a lot of active tumors out there that will be able to continue to move out across the map. So Queens trying to do what damage they can. Unfortunately, a couple additional drones being picked up, though, as they move along. Behind this, of course, Elfi is moving over to, I believe, 6 gates in total and Colossus as well. Actually, double Robo. So this is very, very all-in unless he takes an expansion basically like right now. That double Colossus production, all of the production from those 6 gateways are going to occupy all of his resources.
Yep. Now look at that. We see a Nidus network going down for KenZy, which I am not surprised about one bit, and I will tell you why. Because one of the only ways you can really make Hydralisks good in this game is to Nidus them in. This is a play that Idra used to be very fond of. Lucira was very good at doing this type of thing. And the fact is on a map like this and on a lot of maps in StarCraft 2 competitive play right now, it's just too long to walk those Hydras across the map. You need to keep them together. You need to kind of make sure they're in a tight little clump to do damage and not lose to Phoenixes and things like that. So really at that point, Nidus is one of your only good answers to getting your Hydras around.
Now, KenZy has been very diligent, though. I'm sorry, Elfi's been very diligent about picking off Overlords and making sure there's nothing around, so it's going to be harder for those to get pulled off here.
It's true.
As another Overlord's going to have to be sent out there at some point, or you can just do that.
You don't need an Overlord. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean,
if you want to do it in base, but yeah.
Right.
All right,
Well,
here comes KenZy. He's going to make his way in just a second. What does Elfi have back at home? His first two Colossi are literally just popping out right now, which makes the firepower of this defense much, much stronger.
Oh, it's so strong right now. I mean, with the sentries, with two Immortals to handle Roaches, two Colossi to handle Hydralisks, yeah, KenZy might just go home. I think he's going to group up and maybe try to push again, but yeah, he threw down a Spire. He's done. He's not even going to try it, and that's a good decision, too. I mean, it would have been nearly impossible to break what his opponent had right there.
Yeah, we'll see if this Overseer is going to be conduit for another Nidus Worm here in just a bit, as Elfi's trying to put down a third base now. He had been not warping in a lot of units off of those gateways to save up the minerals for it, so certainly a smart decision there. Looks like the rest of the units for KenZy about to start making their way up. Will they try and deny this, though? Already getting a few units trapped by some force fields.
Yep, just going to jump right back in the Nidus Worm, it looks like. And, you know, again, a good decision. Oh, look at that. I don't know if Elfi sees this.
I don't know either. It looks like he's really worried about the units that were up at the front. He now has to come back and reinforce. What's it going to go down? Looks like it's going to be a Nexus for now. Yep. As will he be able to hold on in time? Hydralisk could start going against some of those Phoenixes. Looks like they are indeed. This Nexus is going to fall, but so will a lot of the army for KenZy. Smart decision. Looks like he is going to get out of there.
Oh, no.
Units are trapped, unfortunately, and KenZy is just going to have to make the best of the kind of bad situation with the rest of his army. Did get that Nexus, though.
Unfortunately, he didn't take the opportunity to focus anything down, but he's still going to be able to do some damage here at the third as well. That'll be nice. Mostly Hydra, so the Phoenixes aren't quite as effective. In fact, whoa, two going down.
Yeah.
And yeah, he needs to pull back, man. That Queen's not going to make it, but he needs to get the rest of the units out of there.
And, oh, can he trap a couple of Colossi?
Whoa.
Yes, he can. And this has actually turned out to be pretty good now. He does get a Colossus. He is picking off a few of the forces. The Phoenix numbers are getting smaller, but importantly, he did kill that Nexus way back when and is sitting on five bases himself.
Yep, I mean, when your opponent gets a lot of Phoenixes, that's a great signal for the Zerg player to just take a ton of bases and then just try to kind of just harry your opponent. Just try to get them to not be able to expand quite as much. Killing off that Nexus was such a big deal, too, because it does kind of give Elfi really mining from only one base for a little while.
And don't know how many units are going to pop out of this Nidus Worm. Nope, looks like it's just going to be quite a few resources lost there. So the Nidus Worm does die, pulls back a couple of units, though, out of position for Elfi. It looks like he's finally going to restart this defensive position with a couple of photon cannons, things along those lines. So now, though, Elfi has about reestablished his main, so he will be on 3 bases again very, very soon. But the Corruptor count is starting to soar for KenZy.
Well, you know, Nidus Worms, too, are always a bit of a risk. I mean, they aren't like the most expensive thing in the world, but they don't have a lot of hit points. You need to be very careful about where you put them down. A lot of times, yeah, you just use them or lose them before you can really get any sort of use out of them.
And that Roach slowly dies to the Phoenixes. KenZy already splitting up his forces for now, though. Colossi are out in force. The Corruptor's starting to go to work on them. A few of the Zerglings make their way in initially, with the force fields, as you mentioned, zoning out quite a few units, forcing them to run around the long way. A couple of the Colossi have fallen. In fact, all of them have gone down now. Just a Void Ray and a few Phoenixes are left for what's through the air, and the Roaches are starting to go to work on the ground forces. So KenZy, once again, finding a pretty good trade here. The Immortals, though, are racking up their kills on these Roaches. Yep.
That is very true. The Immortals, of course, do so well against those armored units and don't take a lot of damage in return because of those hardened shields, and both of them look like they might get away. Oh, the Hydra's chasing something down. When's the last time you saw that happen? And, yeah, you know what? KenZy is just still in a really nice position. He's really been able to throw Elfi off of his game with all this madness, with all the attacks from different angles and Nidus Worms. It's really kind of confused, I think, Elfi, and kind of messed up his plans in a big way.
Yeah, and there it is. G is called, and Elfi has lost. The Behemoth has gone down. Eclypsia has won their first game in this best of 9.
Yeah, I like KenZy's style, too. It was very kind of crazy. It was kind of out there. It was not what Elfi was expecting at